Everybody, it's Key Time coming back to talk about my reactions from week 12 of the NFL season. We had a lot of games in week 12, a lot of blowouts. First game I want to talk about is the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Now, this was an upset for the week for me. Green Bay, they came out first play of the game, deep pass to Christian Watson, 53 yards, and it seemed like the air was just let out of the stadium at Ford Field because the Lions, they couldn't get nothing going. And Dan Campbell, you went for it, fourth down in your own territory twice in that game, and that is what made y'all lose that game, because if you didn't go for it in the third quarter on that fourth down, you probably would have won the game because you did score late. But Green Bay, they scored on that possession where you went for it on fourth down a few minutes earlier in the game. If you don't go for it on fourth down right there, I think that the Lions would have won this game. But the Lions also had three turnovers, and their third down defense against the Packers was non-existent. They one of the top defense. They one of the top 10 defenses in the NFL, but it was non-existent against the Packers. The next game I want to talk about is the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody knew that this was going to be a blowout. Washington Commanders, they just fired Jack Del Rio. I told y'all that they are gonna have more firings coming and more evaluations from that coaching staff. Now for the Cowboys, not gonna get too much into this game. Dak Prescott, he had over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Everybody had a good game for the Dallas Cowboys. So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle Seahawks. This game right here, the 49ers defense won this game. 49ers offense, they played all right too, but the 49ers defense won this game because Seattle, they couldn't get nothing going on offense. I think throughout the entirety of the first quarter, the Seattle Seahawks generated -9 yards of total offense. Dang. That's a bad defense right there. The 49ers, they are a good defense, only giving up -9 yards of total defense to an offense. San Francisco, they are 8-3. They are firmly in a playoff position. The Seattle Seahawks, 6-5. They got a game coming up against the team I just talked about, the Dallas Cowboys. I think that they'll lose that game, but I'll save that for another video. Seattle, the offense has been up and down all year, and I think that if Geno Smith can't go these next 3 or 4 games, I believe that their season is over with. The next game I want to talk about is the Black Friday game. The Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. Not going to get too much into this game. Tua Tagovailoa, he had 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The running backs, Raheem Mostert, he had almost 100 yards. The Jets, what can you expect when you don't have a legitimate quarterback behind center? Your offense is always behind the 8 ball. Even before the game starts, I always say they down 7 points already because they don't have a reliable quarterback and a reliable offense. But you got all of these receivers. You got Allen Lazard and the other receiver, I can't remember his name right now, but you got 2 good receivers and you not using them. Nathaniel Hackett, I believe Sean Payton, he was right about you. You are a bad coach. Now, you're a bad offensive coordinator. Even though you don't have Aaron Rodgers there, Zach Wilson, you have got to make it. You have got to make the play. You have got to make the playbook make sense to Zach Wilson. Maybe you don't have to expand the playbook like you do Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson, he just needs about, I say, 35 to about 40 plays that he just need to focus on, because it seemed like every time he's under center, they struggling to get a first down. Not talking about getting points, just getting 10 yards, just getting a first down. I don't know what the Jets are going. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. As far as I'm concerned, they are out of the playoff race. They're not making the playoffs. They are not. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I would just clock out the rest of the season. I'm not even gonna come back. I'm not even gonna come back, because the Jets, where they are going, they will be out of the playoffs within either the next week or two, because the offense can't do nothing, and the defense, they are trying their best to keep the game close. They trying their best. The next game I want to talk about is the New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons. NFC South is the worst division in the NFL. We all can agree with that. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4-7. They still have a chance to win this game. And the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons have the same record at 5-6. So I picked New Orleans at the start of the season. I'm still going to go along with that. But their offense has got to improve. This is what I've been saying throughout the season. Can the offense improve and generate yards and generate touchdowns to win games? We know that you have a good field goal kicker. He done made over 85% of his field goals this season. But can you put the ball in the end zone for touchdowns? It remains to be seen. That's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh Steelers cracked 400 yards for the first time in almost 60 games. Was it Matt Canada? Was it him? I believe it was him, because the running back had over 100 yards. Kenny Pickett had almost 300 yards passing. So Matt Canada, he was the problem. He didn't have a playbook he didn't expand his playbook for Kenny Pickett and those wide receivers in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know who the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh is, but if the offensive coordinator keep playing like this, keep him there, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, they threw the ball more than they ran it this time against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is Carolina Panthers versus the Tennessee Titans. Both of these teams are bottom of the barrel teams. I wasn't expecting much from this game. Only thing I expected was the Titans to win. I knew it was going to be a close game, and the Titans did win. But the Titans quarterback, Will Levis, he is rusty. Rusty as a bag of bricks that are over 200 years old. Rusty. I mean, like I said, when it comes to the Titans offensive playbook, you only have two players that you have to stop. You have to stop Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. If you stop those two, you got the Titans, and you done won the game already by neutralizing DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry. As far as the Panthers, like I said, we know this is a rebuilding year for them. They just fired their coach Frank Wright. They are in rebuilding mode. So we don't know who is going to be the head coach for the Carolina Panthers, but we will know in the upcoming days. So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Indianapolis Colts. This game right here, is basically a run of the mule game, average, below average, two below average to average teams. So the Colts, I expected them to win this game. They 6-5, still have a chance to make the playoffs. Can they make the playoffs? I don't think so, because the AFC South is already on lock, because the Jaguars, they winning that. The Jaguars will have the AFC South wrapped up before Christmas. Like I said, before Christmas. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're 4-7, currently on the outside looking in the playoff picture. Do I think that they're going to make the playoffs? No, I do not. Because Baker Mayfield is hit and miss. He's hot, then he is cold. And I think that he's going to have a whole lot more cold streaks in December than he is going to have hot streaks. So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants. The New York Giants have won 3 games straight. First time since last year, but it seemed like it's been so much more longer than that. Tommy DeVito, he had 191 yards, 1 touchdown, and the Giants defense really did a good job, but you're playing against the Patriots, and you know that the New England Patriots, they have a revolving door at quarterback. 1 minute is Mac Jones in there, then it's Bailey Zappi. And do I think that the Patriots are going to win another game? No, I don't think so. So that's all I have for that game. Congratulations to the Giants. 4-8. You building it. You trending upward in the right way. Who knows? If you win your remaining games, you may have a chance to get to the playoffs. The next game I want to talk about is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. The Jaguars, this was a separation game for the Jaguars as far as the division. The Jaguars are up 2 games in the division on the Texans, the Colts, and they are up 3.5 games on the Titans. So I think that this division is already spoken for. The Jaguars will win this division either this coming week or the following week. So the Texans, they're a good young up and coming team. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. Do they make the playoffs? I think so, because I had them as one of my dark horse teams coming into the season, and CJ Stroud, he is just playing off the charts. Could he be Rookie of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year? Who knows? It remains to be seen, but he is making a case to be those two. He is making a case to have those 2 awards. The next game I want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have won 5 straight games after wetting the bed in Miami and in Kansas City. They have won 5 straight games. They are one of the hottest teams right now at 6-5. Now, is Sean Payton and Russell Wilson mending differences and coming together and getting the offense clicking on all cylinders? We see it's an uprise when it come to their points. They wasn't averaging 25, 27 in the game versus the Browns. They scored 29 points. We wasn't seeing that early in the season. We wasn't seeing the defense only giving up 12, 13 points a game. Well, their average is 17 points a game. But I said after the Miami game, I'm like, this is going to make or break them. And it seemed like it has made the defense better, because we have never seen a team give up 70 points. And then throughout this winning streak, the Broncos, they have given up, let's say, Kansas City, 16 points. That was their last loss. They played Kansas City again, 9 points. Then against the Vikings, 17 points. Then against the Browns, who they just played, 12 points. So that defense is coming together. Vance Joseph, you have did a phenomenal job in keeping your job. So you are the right defensive coordinator for that scheme. Everybody is learning your scheme now, and they understand your scheme. That's all I have for the Denver Broncos. The next game I have is the Los Angeles Rams and Arizona Cardinals. I'm not going to get too much into this game because these are two bottom of the barrel teams. They can't make the playoffs, so congratulations on the win for the Rams. And the Cardinals, bottom of the barrel team, one of the worst teams in the NFL. So congratulations to the Rams. That's all I have on that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City, this is the first time you've scored 30 points since week 7. So Patrick Mahomes, he had a good game, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I'm going to just give the Raiders, they kept the game much closer than I expected. Antonio Pierce, he is the right guy for the job. So, Mark Davis, the Raiders GM, keep Antonio Pierce as the coach, make him the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, because he is turning that locker room around and he is making those guys believe that they can win these games like this. This game was much closer than I anticipated. I expected Kansas City to win by at least 20. But the Raiders, they still on the outside looking in. 5-7, can they make a playoff push? Who knows? But this was a good showing for the Raiders, even though it was in a loss. That's all I have on that game. Now, the next game I have, this was basically the game of the week. The Buffalo Bills versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Buffalo, you had this game won, but you ended up losing it. It's something about the Buffalo Bills in overtime games. They can't come out on top. They can't. For the Eagles, they were down in the dumps. They were down by 10 twice in this game. Twice in the first half and one time in the second half they were down. And they still come back. That is just that the Eagles are just a team that are finding ways to win games. They didn't play too good against Kansas City. They didn't play too good against the Buffalo Bills, but they found a way to win those games. Jalen Hurts, what can you say more? He is balling out of control. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and you got them dogs on defense, as in the Georgia Bulldogs on defense, Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. So those guys are great The Eagles are great, best record in the NFL. So it's just they are on an uptrend. This is the first time that a team has lost the Super Bowl the previous season and came back and started out 10-1 or better in 11 games. So the Eagles, they may have home field advantage. That's all I have on that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Chargers. Baltimore, this was a nip and tuck game for them. The LA Chargers, man, coming into this season, you had aspirations of getting to the playoffs, and now, do I even think that you're going to make it to the playoffs? I mean, you're currently in the 10th spot in the AFC. So you on the outside looking in. The Chargers have got to win out and hope for some help. That's what they have to do. But do I think that they going to make it to the playoffs? No. Do I think Brandon Staley is going to get fired? Yes, I do. Matter of fact, Chargers owner Dean Spanos, why haven't you fired him yet? I'm talking straight to you. Dean Spanos, fire Brandon Staley, please, to make the Chargers fans happy. And the last game of the week was last night, Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. This game right here, it wasn't worth watching, but I watched it anyway. The Chicago Bears, we all know that they are in a rebuilding phase. The Minnesota Vikings, led by Joshua Dobbs, they are currently on the outside looking in. They can make the playoffs, but this is a game that you gotta win. If you Minnesota last night, this is a game that you gotta win. The Bears, they are out of the playoff. They are out of the playoff chase. You gotta win this game. This is almost a layup game for you, and you lose it. So it is gonna be tough sledding for the Vikings going down the stretch, coming into December. It is gonna be tough sledding for them because their remaining 6 games, 4 of their remaining 6 games are against teams with winning records. So the Vikings, you have tough sledding. The Bears, good game. You beat a team. You beat a team by just kicking field goals. You sunk the NFL back to 1933 when it was okay, where you could just win games off of kicking field goals. So congratulations to the Bears. Vikings, you got tough sled. But the Vikings, they have tough sledding. So hopefully they can win a few more games and get in the playoffs. Maybe get a first round win, or it may be a first round exit for the Vikings. And with that, those are my reactions for week 12 of the NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, the key is always on time.